I gotta get one of my family members on the stream. That's how you make fun of us, fucker. Don't fuck with us anymore, please. Anyway, um, I don't want to let my rambling get in the way of what's been a phenomenal open mic. It is it is certainly one of our best selves for the last week, and I am very thankful. There's a lot of people listening to us tonight. I've gotten some word back from a couple of friends. Tony Beasless, say wave hi to Tony, and it is now time to introduce our feature, who I was also honored to introduce during the release party in Somerville. Oh no, in Cambridge when his book came out. So I'll be glad to do it again. As a matter of fact, I believe this is the same intro. So you think I have it memorized, but sorry. Let us find the page, and yes, we can begin. Oh, someone just let someone else in. Oh, just as a reminder before I go into it, Silent E is going to be our feature. She's returning from when she first featured at Stone Soup in 2015, but she's been joining us on the open mic, and she might even be watching us as part of Facebook now. I'm hoping to have Beauty, who is supposed to be a poet in our poet in October, come back. For health reasons, she's had to wait until closer to the end of November. I'm hoping she can be our first feature in December, and hopefully more people are going to be announced as we close out December. And also the looks like someone's trying to get on, but I'll get to them in a moment. The also I'm pondering doing a special semi-secret feature for myself. This is only because it's going to be the week of Thanksgiving. I don't want to do it on Wednesday, but I thought of having a bit of a semi-release party for my two books. I'm going to have other features coming up, and I'll hopefully be featured on a podcast. But on Friday, I'd love to have an open mic and most important of all, the open mic, but also read from my two books, All's Well Isn't You and Can't Republic, or Blackouts and Erasures. Or is it Erasures and Blackouts? But anyway, I have those two books, and I'd like to keep some of the stuff, especially the stuff that hasn't been published, out of the video sphere. So the open mic would be public, but the reading, I'd be reading from some secret projects as well. So I prefer to keep those private also. If you're interested, let me know. It'd be a Black Friday night, and I'd love to have you there. But now we have our feature, Mr. Gager, Timothy Gager, to his friends. Mr. Gager, if you're nasty. Timothy Gager is the author of 19, count them, 19, read them all, books of fiction and poetry. Of his new one, entitled Almost Bluing for Extra Whiteness, the poet Charles Coe said, quote, Tim Gager can take a so-called ordinary moment and peel it like an onion, revealing layers of meaning that seem both surprising and inevitable. Pulitzer Prize winner Robert Olin Butler called Tim a genius of the quotidian, keenly observing the details of our lives and rendering them so that we can hear the deep pulse of our identities, of our pure being within them. In a review of the book, Cambridge poet populist Lo Galluccio noted, the poet takes on other themes, objects, even humor. It's as if bluing were the poet's ability to compensate for or distract from the underlying grief by looking at the world with some jauntiness, and resilience. This is a marvelously composed collection that includes both the sacred and the profane. It's about love, loss, mortality, addiction, recovery, and survival, and it is both a good time read and enlightening literature about the state of our humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, consider buying that book after hearing such glowing praise. And more importantly, put your hands together, let's say 30, 40 times for Timothy Gager.
Thank you, Chad. It's great to see so many old friends, and I made sure that I have the light aura around my head for this reading, just to check. And also, thank you for keeping your cameras on. It's not always easy to get reactions on Zoom, and it's awesome to see your faces. So, of course, true to form, I've written like 5 or 6 poems since the book release, and I'm going to start with some new stuff. And I wrote this on the day after the election. Serial. This country, a stone throw to a river, skipped split second before it went down. The body shoved in a bag, dropped with cinder blocks, one by one, heavy and sinking. Oh God, the brutality unthinkable we've accepted. This one is called lepidopterans, which just means winged insects. The dusty old bottles promoted in the display case looked forgotten, forlorn, like unsent wedding invitations discovered on the floor of a dark basement or in the corner of the garage near the Pennzoil. Sober people speak of temptation from gleaming bottles and glowing lights seen inside the bars on Newbury Street, customers moving about like bright orange butterflies in the sun. But the dusty old things here recall me sneaking sips in from my parents' garage, old peeling yellow labels or rusted hinges on Valentine cans I lifted off the bed of discarded wings from dead moths they shared this space with. The ordinary. The sky today is watercolor blue. The clouds, simple routines shared. Each passing hour, coffee steams, cooling after every down section of the Sunday globe. In the kitchen, the rustling hum of the fridge is a friend hanging on, an almost broken companion, as reliable as the lawn chair neighbor who always forgets to trim the hedges. Yet you and I, side by side, our soft silence is the weight of a paper-thin cotton garment. Date. The connection unspoken, averting eyes from unconditional beauty I found in your face, mine melting across the table off a stolen glance of spirits released. My father passed in 2022, and I still mourn a bit. And he died of dementia. If the mind goes first for my father, if the body died first, the same fate as smoke hiding a whisper, decaying in the light, the laughter from a dream. The contrary mind, the wailing divination trapped within the body's tomb, praying a conjurer can gift a spade so he can be seen as himself once again. The last thing he wanted. There are no categorical antonyms for an elephant, non-existent. My father became, not remembering where he was when asked hours after he was found on the floor of his memory care unit. I'm at Fred's house, my brother seen by him over his hospital bed. The last time my father was after hip surgery, when he refused eating the inedible puree. We demanded he receive unlimited ice cream, which he consented with. Favorite flavor being anything they got. They had vanilla chocolate. Then back to conflicted father with no need for the elephant test, his last breath, mourning in a peaceful chair. He looked like he was asleep. Now I'll read from Almost Bluing for extra whiteness. And if you got 15 minutes, I'll explain the title. At some point. And I'm gonna read stuff I did not read it. Some stuff I didn't read for. So let's go. Into the silent sea. It's so quiet down here. So quiet you can hear the rage on the seawall. Feel the twisting turn of your stomach, the nervousness of nobody home. The moon was not full today. It was shaped like a heart, seen from the bottom, light diffracted in a way that made you nauseous, spun down amongst lanternfish, cookie-cutter sharks, bristlemouths, anglers, and viperfish, some sort of eel pout. Nobody likes you, you say to them, but you are here too. like an incredible ship, sunken, abandoned. Valentines Poem. Red is red, as red hearts red. Heard what is said, the red heart red. Beaten with a glance, hello heart red. Sequence breaking trance, recycling rhyme, beat red. Heart red red, heart red red, heart red, heart red. Picturing one great love. I draw her haunting face, those dark violet eyes, lips full, asking for an innocent kiss, soft, gentle hands that still pine for her personality being hard to stretch, complex, like unlike my sensibility. If only I could put her face, hands, core on paper, she would no longer haunt my nights, affect me in my dreams, have a hold on my longings. The loves she provokes will die unless there is something lasted created. Can I make her smile? Draw a tear in her eye? Can I finish one drawing? Please, can I finish just one? Animals which don't sleep. Pace the floor as if it will bring him back. Before morning, you think the floor will wear. According to experts, not possible. If you stay awake 7 straight days, you will die also while circling. You see an ant on the counter because of their brains. Ants don't sleep their entire life. You swat him away. Hiss now, trying to bring him back as suddenly as he left. The puddles turned to ice early that winter morning. He told you frogs frozen in ponds no longer breathe or have a heartbeat, which reminds you of too much. Him just lying there, brain flat dead in hospital bed. Instead of saying goodbye, you said, "I'm sorry," and refused to lie down. The great frigate bird can fly 2 months straight, not landing, not stopping, not walking. You shut your eyes in the kitchen, wishing to trade places with him. Star Island, Night 1, 2024. Star Island is like this magical, happy little place I go to off the shores of New Hampshire, and they have really kind of wonderful conferences and creative things and arts conferences and writing conferences. So I wrote this when I was there. Star Island, Night 1, 2024. The vessel delivered us, circling seagulls dotted around the island's hotel. A huge picture of this, white gull, blue water, the calmness of the completed. Back home where the excavators roar, they survive to make noise, digging 6 feet down, covering up serenity with the dirt. There's not kindness to this burial, ignoring what we've laid down. Tonight, the water laps in polite clapping, while a bird joins the choir. Its tone perfect, a piece of the congruence. Swiftly, the flash of, can this be real? Damn, it can be. Poetry found on Twitter, in their own words, New Year's Eve 2022. 1. Lauren Vobert on another shooting. I'm the mom who told Beto, hell no, you ain't taking our guns, and Biden's coming after them. But since the news out of Colorado Springs is absolutely awful, the victims and their families are in my prayers. So take your children to church, not drag bars. Michelle Obama on knitting. It is how I keep my anxiety at bay during the peak of the pandemic. Everything felt so bleak. The act of stitching, purling, casting on and off lets my hands lead the way as my mind trails behind, becoming one of my most meaningful pastimes. For me, it's a release, roots me to an idea called the power of small. Melania Trump on Christmas ornaments being NFTs. Christmas planning on a Sunday afternoon, eco-friendly proof of stake blockchain protocol for the NFTs named Solana. China is world's blockchain leader. NFTs on the rise with Apple. This year, our Christmas tree will be decorated with my favorite ornaments. Marjorie Taylor Greene saying stupid as fuck things. The media is so naive and ignorant, they think my views are extreme. They are totally blind and stupid. Investigate everyone and everything involved in COVID origins. That means you, Fauci. Capitol attack terrible, shouldn't have happened. All the people who died as a result were white, so not sure where your white supremacy BS comes from. Nancy Pelosi leads gazpacho police patrolling the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. C, there's a plot to turn everyone trans or gay. Probably in about 4 or 5 generations, no one will be straight anymore. Fucking F. Solar and wind energy do not work after dark, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to have to go to bed when the sun sets. 5, Amanda Knox on losing control. For anyone feeling wronged, I just want you to know, when I was asked what I put 10,000 hours of my life into, prison was the answer. So I asked, does my name belong to me, my face? What about my life, my story? I was wrongfully convicted of murdering my roommate, but why does my name refer to events I had no hand in? I return to these questions others continue to profit from. 6, in her own words, Margaret Atwood on New Year's Day. 2022 was filled with Gru, but now here comes 2023. I'm hoping for you and hope for Glee. All right, I'm about halfway through this. 2022 was a rough year, so I wrote this. I did not want to call the 988 operator late 2022. Don't look up the movie about the world ending, but watch the end. Meryl Streep was eaten by a dinosaur. You said weeks later at the farm in Maryland we stayed at that it was one of the good things from the year. And I said my last goodbyes to my father on that same trip. He died a week later, as did my demeanor. Then you left me, pacing the living room when all I wanted was solitude. Walked to the kitchen, then back, my head becoming thick and black as the night. I didn't want to call a 988 operator to discuss Cretaceous Paleogene extinction event instead of how I felt, but I did. I called a 988 operator who suggested to get something off my chest, but there wasn't anything on my chest. I know because I just looked. For my friend Sean, who died after my pet rabbits died, I wished myself extinct like that Bronte rock. This very night paced back and forth and back and forth. That was a time, one day at a time, left, right, left me right here. What cannot be fixed? 1, the Alzheimer's dream of my father created a matchup between Syracuse and Penn State, football on a mud-soaked lawn outside the window of his hospital room. We were there, visiting, driving over the George Washington Bridge after something broke in the wheel. All seemed bound by brittleness, lacking adhesion, cracked, held by weak glue. 2, we always attached at the hip, standing by his bed that very last time, holding on tight as worlds were tumbling. How could our feet stay on the ground? I still can only imagine the crumbling of the paper. It sounded like Dad's hip breaking, my discarded love poem crackling when you threw it in the fireplace. The axis of the earth shifted. Every burnt ash flew away. After you go, we send to the sky our grief when writing letters to the deceased. We know where Joe DiMaggio go, but that's not real. No one makes our longings into a song or a flower or sugar. It's simple, Simon. God cares for the loved ones, though we are ones needing it. Left looking up with paper and pen, praying the message is received, if impossible, to address. I have these all marked, so I'm ready. Reflections, a 17-year-old drug addict 40 years later. The guilt after I slipped ginger root into my pocket at the market. Easy enough to pay, hard because it's difficult to quit what I've always done. I want to stop speaking badly about people and places, inciting thin concentration within the blue thoughts while isolated into the lonely, empty echo of lunacy. Remembering our bodies craving this contact, a hammer on nail, fused wooden support beam, striking of permanence, God gave me a chance to beat this one day, or that tomorrow I started clean. Had to extinguish a raging fire. Shoot up to wash pain away, cover the ache, the sleeve, wear a smashed up heart, a wave of the arm, if only crossing out to add the name alcohol, never preventing years and years of erasing. I said at a meeting, we no longer drink or use anymore. Anyone, me, watching speeding trains decimate stalled vehicles from hole to debris. If you're stuck on the tracks, I can't yell you a warning. Too late every time, like a tweezer pulling a thorn out of your bicep. It's already there. Stop adding, start subtracting. Tennessee Songbirds. I'm not reading Tennessee Songbirds. How's that? Not just the willows weep. Not just the willows weep. The rain fell as flat vertical curtains, a vista falling of water around the confined porch. Would you get a load of that, your father said, and then flatter when the seawall finally crumbled. A flood rushing the neighborhood, the daughter seated with a drink, a tragic act unfolding. Will this play enter the home? Will it be met with the family's gaze and resignation? A theater of collapse. The deluge was a slow sipped poison. We all will die eventually, slowly, deeply, souls burning for relief. The daughter concluded at least it can never snow in June, but then not ruling it out as an irrational fear. The ocean knocks at the bulkhead, the water never welcomed on in. Down the road, the crowd of wispy ground-sweeping ocean branches will break your heart. The golden yellow drooped branches down, tears down to your mouth, falling into your throat. Found in a basement in Dorchester. Sean found beaten by a bat while wearing fishing gear, not there to fish, there to reel in opioids, not there to fish or to be bludgeoned, making a final request in an unfinished basement, not to be bludgeoned while wearing fishing gear, to reel in opiates, not to be bludgeoned, his final request. I miss that guy. I'm going to end with a few that I feel are funny. Or lighter. Poem found within the rules of the board game mystery date. Or is this real life? Here is a game of surprises where the players are preparing to go on a mystery date. It may be a formal date, a dance, a skiing trip, bowling, or a beach party. They must be ready when their date arrives. And here's the lineup. Formal dance date, dressed in tuxedo, holding corsage box. Bowling date, dressed in red sweater, carries bowling bag. Beach date, dressed in trunks, carries towel and picnic cooler. Skiing date, dressed in skiing outfit, carries skis and poles. The dud, dressed so shabbily no one will go on a date with him. The thrill of it is that they never know which date will appear. The player may be readying for a skiing only to find, upon opening the door, the date is dressed in a tux, ready to go on a formal date. Worst of all, they may open the door to find the dud, lose valuable time in getting rid of him. Players continue to move around the board clockwise, swiping, discarding, and opening the door. The first player to open and find the proper date for which they are ready is the lucky winner. Petition to remove the word burble from our language. Burble is an ugly old word for movement of water, so relax, slow the heartbeat. Non-onomatopoetic, harsh-sounding, burble when spoken, not a common media for producing a thought, part babble, ripple, and trickle, each used separately are greater, valued orally, their effect more like notes, being the music of life. Not the name of a Seattle era band. Okay, burble, a movement of grunge sound. The continuous splashing denotes little or no danger, continuous murmuring noises. A natural sound, you're safe, not the ugly scream of a phone ringing at 2 a.m. Unsafe, without rest. The constant burbling sound of the word in your head is decompensating. And I am going to finish with Almost Famous. This is dedicated to all the roast beef shops in Massachusetts. Almost Famous. Roast beef shops here tout their fame, and shit, their parking lots have potholes that will never be famous. See? Trees lush, not famous. Beautiful full moon, not either. Green grass conducting wind dance in spring, drops of rain weeping into parking lot puddles, not and no. Simple, unique snowflake twisting down like a knot can be famous. Stumped by this? Phone a friend. He's never heard of Brothers, Athnas, Millers, Kings, Jimbos, Angelos, Bill and Bob's, or Nick's. All most famous. Thank you so much for being here and listening, and it's really wonderful to hear and listen to you as well.
Put
You
your
did a
hands
great
together.
feature.
Put your hands together 30, 40 more times, virtually, visually,
Yeah.
audibly, however you like, for Mr. Gager.
Bravo, bravo, author,
Great.
author.
All right. Wonderful job.
Yeah, nicely done, sir. I ought to let you know, if I can take 2 seconds, that our host republished a poem of mine in a edition of Stone's Throw
Nice.
that has the word burbling in it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
We're gonna
That's
petition to
right.
have that removed from the website.
Jesus.
Is that word going to be removed from the dictionary?
Well, we're trying. We're gonna set up this. There's like so many stupid things that are gonna happen with our government. We might as well petition for this one as well.
And I did not, I don't know if you saw it, but I love the word
Aye.
decompensate. I have, ever since I heard that that word existed and it had a meaning I could really grok, decompensate is a choice word.
As is grok, now that we
I
think
have
about
to say that I love the word grok.
it. Yes. Yes.
And
More
if you buy,
grok, more grok.
and if you
Rich-
buy the book, there's also a poem about John Wessex in it. Because
That's
John
right.
during the pandemic would
Yeah.
write poems in the style of other poets. So I wrote a poem about John Wessex in the style of John Wessex.
Yeah, thank
Very
you,
nice.
Tim. And Tim also has a poem about my capybara as well. So thank you.
Oh.